I'm Danica Lorer, and this is Lit Happens, your celebration of the literary arts here in Saskatchewan. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome David Carpenter. Now, David writes fiction, nonfiction, poetry, short stories, and novels. He's been nominated for awards, and he's won literary awards, including the Kloppenberg Award for Literary Excellence. Welcome, Dave. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too, Danica.
Dave, would you like to start by reading a couple of paragraphs from your book?
Sure. I'm going to read the first page of my novel. Chapter 1, page 1. At night the men march past the window, clomp, clomp, clomp. They have made him be awake. He waddles in the dark past his sleeping brother to his mum and dad's bedroom. Waddle, waddle, see Joey waddle. They are asleep. He can hear mum and dad breathe. Sigh, he whispers to both of them. The men are marching up the road. Soon they will be gone. Why are they marching up the road? Thigh, he says a little louder. He grabs the blanket and tries to tug, but no one moves. Thigh, he pulls the blanket again and it won't budge. Mum opens her eyes and closes them and opens them again. She takes him by the hand to go to the loo. Joey doesn't want to go pee-pee. She hauls him up to sleep between mum and dad. It is warm there between mum and dad. Another night, the men wake him up, marching past the window in the dark. It is winter time. Joey totters out past his brother into his mum and dad's room. He whispers, "Side." His mum just lies there on her stomach with her mouth open. Side. He pulls the blanket until it starts to come away. His mum, she gives him a look. She says, "Joey, go pee-pee?" He whispers, "Side." Mum picks him up and settles him down. She tells him to go sleepy by. The men are gone. They are marching somewhere up the hill. He sucks his thumb. Joey does not want to wake up his dad. Dad needs his sleep, his mum always says. Joey puts his mouth to mum's ear to whisper, "Thide." Another time it is day. It is warm out. Mum takes Joey and Arthur for a stroll. She holds Joey's hand. He looks up at his mum. She smiles down at him. He says, "Thide." Joey's mum, she looks around. She laughs and laughs.
Thanks, Dave. So this is brand new, hot off the press. Tell me a little bit about the story behind this book.
It's a story about a young Englishman who, in the throes of very hard times, decides to emigrate to Canada to make his fortune. And he has a dream of prospecting for gold in the far north. And this takes place mostly in the mid-1930s. And it takes you right up past the end of his life. But that's another story. I find it interesting still to tell you the story, about the story, how I came upon it. When I was a little kid, I lived in a neighborhood where there was this bear-like man named Tom Paine. He was from England. He was self-taught. He had no patience with pretense of any kind. He smelled like a bear. He's the only person in our neighborhood that our dog ever barked at. He was a friend of my dad's. They liked to drink together. And one day, Dad took me over with my older brother to see Tom Paine's house. And it's a shambling old house with a huge library. And Tom Paine invited us in to look at the library. And I noticed he had bricks for bookends. He had a lot of books in there, but he had bricks. And I noticed that a few of them were gold. These were gold bricks. And they were so heavy I couldn't lift them. And you don't trust everything you remember as a kid. I may have made that up. So when I was 7 years ago, when I started this novel, I wanted to ask my brother, who was older, what do you remember about Tom Paine's library? And my brother said, "Oh, he kept his books up with gold bricks." And I said, I remember 3 or 4. How many do you remember? He said, at least a dozen. And so 7 years ago, it just struck me that I would love to write a novel about a guy like Tom Paine who went up north and he actually struck it rich. Most of them didn't. Most of them went broke. But Tom Paine did strike it rich. And I'd like to explore, I guess, the moral implications of striking it rich. Because there's a lot of guys who discover gold and sudden riches. It doesn't necessarily make them happy. So, yeah.
So, and for some, it comes through the gold, and some it comes through other means. So it's an interesting story for our time to look at where people do find themselves with great fortune and misfortune that comes with it as well.
Right, right. I've never really found anybody who got some kind of happiness out of fast money, a lot of fast money. But I've met many joyful people who have maintained a very good attitude to life, a happy attitude, you might say, who have done it in the midst of struggling to survive and maybe just paying the bills. I know I'm getting very moralistic here, so we better try another question.
Well, and you know, I think about a lot of our friends are writers, and not many of them strike it rich on the big gold bars in the bookshelf.
Right. I remember one of my books, they all take years to write, but one of my books, I think I got an advance of $100. And my first royalty statement was something like $30. So
not a gold bar.
But I mean, look at the personal satisfaction you get from doing these things, these hopeless endeavors of ours.
Now, the geography of the gold rush, going to the northern places, have you spent time in those places?
Well, I've spent a bit of time up north here and there, but I had never been to Yellowknife where much of the action takes place. And my dad had always told me, you know, you boys, you should go up to Yellowknife. If you want to see an exciting place, go to Yellowknife. And naturally, I knew much better than my father, so I decided not to go there. But when I did go to Yellowknife, and I spent some time up there to research this book, I found that everybody in Yellowknife has a great story to tell. It's a really exciting place. My dad was right.
Well, and many of the people I met in Yellowknife had Saskatchewan roots, so that was exciting for me too.
That's right, yeah. From one wonderfully bleak place to another.
But it's beautiful as well. It's really stunning up there.
Very, very stunning, yeah.
So this book, brand new, do you have something else that you're working on now, 7 years down the road, or how?
Well, I'm always working at several projects at once. It's just the way I do things. And I'm just finishing up the third volume of the Literary History of Saskatchewan. And so I'll be sending it off to a very nice publisher, and then doing a lot of praying, of course, and hoping that they will accept it. And then, for the first time in my life, I have a New Year's resolution. I'm going to practice laziness when that's over with.
Well, that sounds
abject
delightful.
Laziness.
That sounds really delightful. Now, you also brought along a book we're familiar with, The Education of Augie and Veracity, because it's a new edition. So,
yes.
So what can you tell us about this?
Well, this new edition came out just weeks before Augie died. And it's a classroom edition. The book is being taught in schools and in universities now. And it has a series of questions that students might want to ask about the book. And it has a kind of teacher's guide at the end. And it also has an extra bit of text on the impact of the book on Augie and his life and his family after it came out.
Wonderful. Well, Dave, that's all the time we have for today. It always goes so quickly.
All too short.
Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to read your new book, The Gold.
Thank you, Danica.
Our guest today was David Carpenter. My name is Danica Lorer, and this has been Lit Happens. You can find past episodes by going to Shaw TV Saskatoon's YouTube channel. You can find me on Twitter or Facebook, and if you want to email me, I'm at danicalorer@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.